Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where and when you are joining us. Welcome to workshop 4 of 4 in the Let Them AI Action Class series. I am your host, Katie Milton Jordan, and I am excited to bring today's workshop to you. So let's jump into it. For our AI Action Class Book Club pick for the month of January, we have been going through the Let Them Theory book by Mel Robbins. And we'll take a quick look at where we've been and what we're going to be covering today. So in workshop 1, we went through the physics of release and control, and we created a let go inventory. In workshop 2, we reviewed the emotional fortress and we created a trigger response toolkit. In last week's workshop, we went over agency and assertive neutrality, and we were able to create the pivot and script guide. And in today's workshop, we are going to be covering the concepts from the book about mastering lasting peace. So the goal of today's workshop is to transition from reactive control to proactive, detached observation as a lifestyle. And the key topics that we're going to have a chance to go through today are detached observation, described as the fly on the wall, long-term mindset integration, dealing with pushback, and daily habits. So at the end of today's AI action class, we will create the Let Them Daily Manifesto, a sustainable routine and set of core affirmations for lifelong emotional freedom. So let's talk briefly about what is an AI action class and how is this different from other workshops you might have attended in the past. So in an AI action class, in the name, we are going to be using AI to take action. We spend some time at the top of the call going through introductions, just getting some context around what we're going to be doing in the workshop. We spend a few minutes learning the concepts that we want to take away from this core book. And then we have some time to apply the AI workflow. You can either do that along with me during today's workshop, or you can watch me do the demonstration and then do the workflow independently after you've seen the demonstration. I like to say, you guys know your learning style better than I do, so you self-manage what's going to be the best way for you to apply this. Then we come back into community and we spend a few minutes sharing feedback and insights and takeaways from the workshop. So here is the book that we're covering this month, the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And on the right-hand side, you can see what we call a workflow. Now, an AI workflow has some similarities with what other folks call a long prompt. However, it also has some very important differences. Now, you're going to have a chance to zoom in on this when we get into the AI workflow, and I know that it's on your screen. It's a little bit too small to see all of the details in here, but a workflow has different steps in it. So you can see step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And these steps are programmed to run one at a time, and the subsequent steps will change dynamically based on the context that you give the AI when it asks you the questions. So the AI is actually interacting with you and refining its recommendations and responses based on the context and data that you give it when you answer its questions. So as we work through the AI workflow, here are a few best practices and gentle reminders. Always work on your work. Remember to bring real challenges, real life stories from your personal or professional life, and work on your work. So this is not meant to be theoretical or hypothetical. We want to make sure that while we're here together, we are working actively towards 3 deliverables. One is AI fluency. The next is gaining foundational information and expertise from the book that we're studying. And the third output is to actually create a deliverable that can help improve our life or business. So if we work with hypotheticals or theoretical data, it makes it hard for us to generate a deliverable that can actually help us move the needle on projects that we're working on in real life and business. This is also your time to learn and explore, whether that is AI fluency or whether that's the concepts in the book that we are reviewing. You will have an opportunity to interact with the AI to go deeper on certain subjects if you would like to. Remember that if you can't think of answers when AI asks you for context, you can ask the AI to make suggestions based on what it knows about you. And if you haven't been working with an AI LLM for a while, let's say this is your first time, you can also ask the AI to make recommendations even if it doesn't know you very well. You can ask for best practice recommendations and then you can ask it to edit. So if you do get stuck, just speak to the AI as though you were giving instructions to an in-person assistant. Simply say, this is not what I wanted. Please do XYZ instead. And I'm also here to help if you get stuck. If you're here with us live, simply pull yourself off of mute and ask me to pause and share your question. We have kind of a casual, engaging style here, so don't worry about interrupting me. Please do that. And if you're watching the replay, simply send me an email at katie@katiemiltonjordan.com, and I am happy to help you. So here is where we're going to move into our application step, and everyone will need to log into the public folder that can be found at bit.ly/AI formula in all caps. That has been pasted in the chat for the folks that are here live today. Once we go into that drive, you'll need to navigate to the correct folder. So in this public drive, there's a handful of different folders in here with free resources for different workshops that I've shared with different affinity groups. We're going to go into the Let Them AI action class. So here was workshop 1, workshop 2, workshop 3, and today we are doing workshop 4. So we're going to go into workshop 4, and I always like to encourage people to take a look at the AI prompt before they run it so that you have the context of what we're going to be doing today. So just like remember when you were in elementary school and you were learning how to read, they said, okay, read the first paragraph first so that you have the context before you start doing the work. That's what we're going to do right here. So we are asking AI to act as a high-performance mindset coach, specializing in the Let Them theory by Mel Robbins. Your role is to guide me through the final session, workshop 4. At each step, you will explain where we are, ask for context, perform the action, and confirm readiness. The goal is to produce the Let Them Daily Manifesto, a sustainable routine and set of core affirmations for lifelong emotional freedom. So here are the steps that we are going to take in today's workflow. Step 1 is the detached observer, shifting from participant to witness. Number 2 is handling the pushback, managing others' reactions to your change. Number 3 is the relapse plan, what to do when you fall back into control. Number 4, the peace multipliers, daily habits that reinforce detachment. 5 is drafting the manifesto, your core let them laws. Ooh, I like the alliteration there. And 6 is the final deliverable, the Let Them Daily Manifesto. And if you want to read the entire prompt, if you're seeing this for the first time, you are welcome to do so. It's in plain language. Should be very straightforward. But what we need to do to run this prompt is we go into our PDF and we copy the entire prompt. Now I'm going to move over to my LLM. You are welcome to use any LLM that you like. We are LLM agnostic. And today I'm experimenting with Claude on my desktop. There's some cool new features that were recently released by Claude that are probably not relevant to this AI action class, so I won't go down that rabbit hole and confuse you, but this is Claude installed on my desktop. So I'm going to paste the prompt in here. In Claude, and we can see that Claude is set up to be running on the thinking model. Let's see here, Do I want it on the thinking model? No, I'm going to keep it on the fast model because we are demonstrating. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to run the prompt, and Claude is going to start asking me questions to help move me closer to the deliverable for today's workshop. So we are creating the Let Them Daily Manifesto. We've been building towards this moment across 4 workshops. And today is where it all comes together in something you can carry with you every single day. This session is about turning everything you've learned into a sustainable lifestyle, not just a concept you understand, but a way you actually live. Here's our roadmap for today. Here are the steps we've already reviewed, and by the end of this session, you'll walk away with a personalized manifesto, your North Star for emotional freedom going forward. Are you ready to begin? I'm going to go ahead and share with you just a couple things before we run the AI. The first thing I want to note is that what you're seeing on my screen may not be the exact same thing that you see on your screen. What you see on your screen will also depend on how you've worked with your LLM in the past. So this is not meant to be a duplicate for every single person that is in this class. And that's actually a feature and not a bug, because one of the things that's unique about AI is that we are finally able to customize or personalize education at scale. So every single one of us is going to be interacting with AI slightly differently based on how we've worked with it in the past. So if your screen doesn't read the same thing as mine, don't worry. It is okay. And here it's asking me to begin the first phase of the journey. But before we do that, I actually want a little bit more information from the book. So I'm going to use a new tech feature, Whisper software, that I'm happy to share with you guys, where I can just speak to the AI instead of having to type in the information. So here is how I'm going to do that. Can you give me a brief summary of the concepts in this workshop before we begin? And now the text populates on my screen. So before we go into step 1, I want to actually learn a little bit more about the concepts in this section. So here's a quick flyover of what we'll be working through today. The detached observer is about learning to watch what's happening around you without getting pulled into it. Think of it like becoming a fly on the wall in your own life. You see the drama, but you don't become part of it. Handling the pushback addresses something real and uncomfortable when you stop playing your old role, the fixer, the people pleaser, the one who holds it all together. The people around you will notice. Some won't like it. They might call you cold or distant. This step prepares you for that so it doesn't knock you off course. The relapse plan is built on honesty. You will slip up. You'll catch yourself trying to control something or someone again. That's not failure. Mastery is about how quickly you notice it and come back to center. The peace multipliers are small daily habits that keep the whole mindset alive. Without regular reinforcement, even the best intentions fade. We'll find 2 simple things that fit naturally into your existing routine. Drafting the manifesto is where we pull from everything across all 4 workshops and distill it into 5 to 7 personal laws of release, the principles you live by going forward. And the final deliverable bundles everything into one reference document you can return to anytime you need a reset. The thread running through all of this is you're only responsible for yourself. Your peace is yours to protect, and this workshop gives you the tools to do that daily. Ready to dive into step 1? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. So again, if you are working alongside me, you should be at this step 1 in the AI workflow. If you're just observing the demo, simply watch us go through the steps, and you can do this after we do this live. So mastering detached observation. The core idea means becoming a witness in your own life rather than a participant in everyone else's drama. Instead of getting swept up in what others are doing, saying, or choosing, you simply observe it without judgment, without reaction, and without the need to fix it. Think of it like watching a scene from behind a window. You can see everything clearly, but there's a pane of glass between you and the chaos. Ooh, I like that idea. You're not in it. You're just noticing it. This is the shift from reactor to observer. Here's where we make it personal. I need a real scenario from your life, one that typically sucks you in emotionally. Eek. The kind of situation where you feel your body tense up, your mind starts spinning, and before you know it, you're right in the middle of it, trying to manage or fix something that isn't yours to carry. Some common examples might be family gatherings where dynamics get tense, office politics or client drama, a partner or loved one in a bad mood, or someone making a choice you disagree with. What's a scenario that reliably pulls you in? Give me as much details as feels right, who's involved, what's typically happens, and how you usually respond. So to the folks that are completing this live, spend a few minutes thinking about what your response to that question might be. You might want to take some notes. And if you're like me and you feel like thinking about this too much will trigger a nervous system response, I'm actually going to ask AI to do the heavy lifting for me. So I'm going to say, answer this question based on what you know about me, and I will edit your responses. Again, AI is actually better than humans at creating the first iteration of something. Humans are better at editing. So what do they say? There's writer's block, but there's no editor's block. So if you're struggling to answer this question, simply ask AI to help you, and then you can edit AI's response. So it's telling me, based on what I know about you, here's my best guess at the scenario that most reliably pulls you in: your husband's business stress. He operates a manufacturing business, and when things get tense on his side, whether it's production issues, employee problems, or financial pressure, I'd guess you have a hard time just watching. That is 100% accurate. You are a natural problem solver and a builder by nature. You run multiple ventures, you've led economic development organizations, and you handle his bookkeeping. So when he's stressed or making a decision you'd approach differently, I imagine your instinct is to jump in, offer solutions, try to steer things, or quietly carry the mental load of worrying about it even when it's not yours to solve. The tension probably shows up as something like he comes home frustrated, and instead of just listening, you're already 3 steps ahead mentally, analyzing the problem, thinking about what he should do, maybe feeling anxious if he doesn't handle it the way you would. How close am I? This is spot on. Edit whatever doesn't fit and tell me what I'm missing. Once we've got the right scenario nailed down, I'll build you a visual anchor. So I'm going to say 100% accurate. That's what I thought. You're wired to solve, and when you love someone, that wiring goes into overdrive. Now let's build your visual anchor. Mental image you can call up in the moment to shift yourself from fixer mode back into observer mode. So here's what I want you to try: the control room window. Picture yourself standing in a glass-walled control room, like the kind you'd see overlooking a manufacturing floor. You can see everything happening below: your husband's stress, the problem he's wrestling with, the frustration on his face. You have a perfect view, but the door to the floor is closed. Your hand is not on any of the machines. Your job in that room is simply to watch the operation run. You're not the operator, you're not the floor, you're behind the glass. When he comes home venting about a production issue or an employee headache, I want you to mentally place yourself behind that window. You can see it, you can hear it, but your hands stay at your sides. You don't step onto the floor unless he explicitly opens the door and asks you to. The mantra that goes with it: I can see it without carrying it. Ooh, I like that. I can see it without carrying it. Does this mental shift help you feel like an observer rather than a fixer? And is there anything you'd like to adjust about the image to make it feel more natural for you? When this feels right, we'll move on to step 2. Yes, this actually feels good for me, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to ask for any edits. So again, at this point, if the information that AI is giving you is not quite what you want it to be, simply say, that's not quite what I wanted, please do this instead. But for right now, for demo purposes and in the interest of time, I'm going to have it move on to step 2, because this is mostly accurate for me. Handling the pushback. Here's the reality nobody warns you about. When you stop playing your old role, the people who benefited from that role will push back. That's right. This is called change back behavior. It's not necessarily malicious. It's just human nature. People are comfortable with the version of you they know, and when that version shifts, it creates friction. They might say things like, "What's wrong with you? You don't care anymore," or "You've changed." And the tricky part is that those words can feel like proof that you're doing something wrong, when in fact, they're proof that you're doing something right. Now let me take a guess at who's most likely to push back on your new let them energy and what that might sound like. Your husband is the most likely candidate here too. If you've always been the one who jumps in with solutions, carries the mental load of his business stress, and helps steer decisions, and then suddenly you're just listening from behind the glass, he might read that as disengagement. He might say something like, you don't even care about what I'm going through. Why aren't you helping me think through this? You're being distant. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your old pattern trained him to expect your involvement as a given. How close is this? Who else might push back? And what would they say? Adjust anything that doesn't fit before we build your response. I will say that this is accurate. My dad is here visiting from Minnesota at the moment, and this morning they could not find the propane tank that they were going to fill today. So they're like, Katie, where's the propane tank? And I needed to remind myself to let them struggle, right? Watch from the glass, let them find the propane tank. So they are just used to relying on me for having the answers, and I have to accept responsibility for the role that I played in teaching them how to treat me. So I'm going to say this is accurate. Please proceed. Our non-defense response for when this happens. The key here is you don't explain yourself, you don't justify your shift, you don't apologize for having peace, you simply redirect the warmth. You're not being cold, you're being boundaried. I actually heard someone say to me several years ago, and this has really stuck with me, is stop giving away your peace. If you consider that we already have peace within us, and that we are the ones that choose whether to give it away or not, it is a reframe that has been powerful for me. So, don't apologize for having peace. Keep your peace by not giving it away. When he says something like, you don't even care, why aren't you helping me with this? Here's your response. I don't think he would say those things, but the point remains the same. I care about you deeply. That's exactly why I'm listening right now instead of jumping in. I trust you to figure this out, and I'm right here if you want to talk through it. Actually, a phrase that's worked really well in our house is dealer's choice. He'll ask me, he'll be like, what do you want for? Which restaurant should we go to? And what time should we? And I just respond with dealer's choice. You choose. Let's break down why this works. It affirms the relationship. I care about you deeply, takes the accusation of coldness off the table immediately. It reframes your silence as respect. You're not disengaging, you're trusting him, and it leaves the door open. You're not shutting him out, you're just not stepping onto the manufacturing floor uninvited. The underlying message is, I'm not abandoning you, I'm just no longer carrying what's yours to carry. One important thing to remember, you may need to use this response or some version of it many times before the new pattern settles in. Change back behavior doesn't happen once. It's persistent, but so are you. Do you feel prepared to stay firm in your peace even when he challenges it? And is there anything you'd tweak about that response to make it sound more like you? So I'm actually going to ask for a couple examples. One of the phrases that we use, or I use in our house, is dealer's choice. And that is another way that I respond to requests to carry something that's not mine to carry. I'm also a big fan of the phrase, keep my eyes on my own paper. Keep your eyes on your own paper, Katie. Can you generate a handful of other short, pithy examples like those that I can use to help develop my awareness in moments when I'm being asked to carry something that is not mine to carry? Now my text populates and I did not have to type all of that. Isn't that cool? I'll put a link to the Whisper tool in the chat at the end of today's call. If you guys want to get a free trial, you can experiment with this. But I've been using it a lot the last week in my AI work. So I love both of those. They're quick, they're light, they don't carry any heaviness or blame. That's exactly the energy you want, enough to snap you back to center without turning it into a whole conversation. So here are some more in that same spirit. Not my circus, not my monkeys, right? That's his backpack. Oh, I feel like that would be really good if you're working with children. You know, that's not your backpack. A visual reminder that everyone carries their own load. You don't pick up backpacks that don't belong to you. I'm just the audience today. It ties right back to your control room window. You're watching, not performing. Let the man cook. Playful, trusting, and a little funny. He's got this, step away from the stove. Actually, that's true. There'll be times when both of us are in the kitchen. I'm like, I'm just going to get out of your way. Not my machine to run. A nod to his manufacturing world. You can hear it humming from the control room, but your hands aren't on it. I'm staying in my lane. That one's above my pay grade. I'm not the biggest fan of that because personally that feels attached to like, this isn't my job and that's just not the work ethic that I have. But if that resonates for you, use it. If it doesn't, throw it away. So file that under not mine, not mine. Your ADHD brain might love the mental image of literally filing something away and closing the drawer. Do any of these land for you? Feel free to grab the ones that feel natural and toss the rest. Another benefit of this whisper thing is that there's no spelling or grammar errors that I waste time trying to correct. The relapse plan. Let's get honest about something. You will slip up. You will catch yourself 3 steps deep into solving a problem that isn't yours. Running mental scenarios about someone else's decision or white-knuckling your way through someone else's stress before you even realize what happened. That's not failure. That's being human. Mastery of the let them mindset isn't about being perfect. It's about how fast you catch yourself and come back to center. So we need to identify your red flag behavior, the very first sign that you're sliding back into a control trap. It's usually something subtle and happens before the full spiral kicks in. Here's my guess for you, the mental takeover. Yeah. Before you ever say a word out loud, your brain has already started running the problem. That's true. For me, it shows up as like a distraction to something that I'm already working on. You're mentally reorganizing someone else's situation, building a solution, anticipating what could go wrong if they don't handle it your way. One piece of information comes in and suddenly your brain is 4 moves ahead on a chessboard that isn't even yours. So true. The secondary flag is probably physical. Tension in your shoulders, a tightening in your chest, or that restless feeling like you need to do something about whatever you just heard. Yes. How close am I? What does it actually feel like in your body and mind when you're slipping back into control mode? Once we nail this down, I'll build your course correction protocol. Yes, I would say that this is true. And I do think that it probably has a lot to do with my upbringing. I think many of us were taught to be hard workers and to have a good work ethic. So when we see something that needs to be done, we are already pre-programmed into jumping up to shut the door that somebody left open, or shut the drawer that somebody left open, or turn off the faucet that somebody left running. We're kind of programmed to do that. So I would say, let's see here. What does it actually feel like in your body and mind when you're slipping back into control mode? Once we nail this down, I'll build your course correction protocol. And now I'm going to choose to type because my fingers are going to help me slow down my brain, similar to writing on a piece of paper with a pencil or a pen, instead of using my mouth to dictate my response. I am noticing that I have been raised with a good work ethic, and not taking action when something quote unquote needs to be done is a challenge for me. What if I experiment with being uncomfortable and not immediately taking action every time I see something that needs to be done? Because whose definition of need am I using, right? So that is a powerful realization. You just identified something really deep. Your work ethic, which has genuinely served you well and built everything you have, has a shadow side. It trained you to believe that seeing a problem and not acting on it is the same as being lazy or irresponsible. Like, this so resonates for me. So your nervous system literally reads inaction as a threat to your identity. So true. And then you asked exactly the right question. Whose definition of need am I using? Because most of the time, this needs to be done actually means this is making me uncomfortable, and doing something about it would make the discomfort stop, right? Like, how many times have we been in a restaurant or a bank and, you know, it's real easy for us to be judgmental and be like, gosh, that thoughtless person left the door open. The action isn't always serving the situation, it's serving your anxiety. And I can actually feel in my body like how uncomfortable it would be to sit in a bank lobby lobby and just watch the door being open, waiting to see how long it took for someone to close the door? Or have you ever found yourself in the parking lot of a retail store, like a grocery store or a Walmart or a mall parking lot, and watching someone just leave their cart in the middle of nowhere? Drives me bonkers. So here's your course correction protocol built around that exact insight. The moment you feel that pull, that restless, I need to do something tension, you stop and ask yourselves 3 things. Is this mine? Is that my backpack? Is that my paper? Am I the person responsible for this, or am I volunteering? What happens if I do nothing for 24 hours? If the answer is probably nothing catastrophic, that's your sign to stay behind the glass. Am I solving a problem or soothing my discomfort? Now, this one is really resonating for me. Because what happens if I do nothing for 24 hours? I start to think about, the damage that could happen to cars in the parking lot because the cart rolls in. And then I start thinking about what does that cost, over the course of time, or over the course of a year, and how does that impact, the economy? And then I think of it as just a waste of so many things, and that's also uncomfortable for me. But am I solving a problem or soothing my discomfort is the question that's going to work for me. That's going to be the one that's going to allow me to let the faucet stay running. This is a big one. Be brutally honest. I am soothing my discomfort. Then you sit in the discomfort on purpose. You let it be there. You treat it like an experiment, just like you said. I'm going to see what happens when I don't act. Not forever, just for now. Your mantra, uncomfortable doesn't mean urgent. Okay, so kind of like we did in some of our last workshops, I'm copying these phrases that resonate for me. And I'm putting them in the chat so that they can be included in the final deliverable. Does having this plan for slip-ups make you feel more confident? And does framing it as an experiment feel sustainable, something your brain can actually work with? When you're ready, we'll move to step 4. So I'm going to say in here, these phrases to reframe are resonating for me. Let's make sure we include them in the final output. There we go. Noted. Those are going in the final manifesto for sure. They're the kind of phrases that can stop a spiral in its tracks, and the fact that they're resonating means they're hitting something true for you. I'm keeping a running list. Phrases to include in the final deliverable. Dealer's choice. Keep your eyes on your own paper, Katie. Not my circus. That's his backpack. I'm just in the audience today. Let the man cook, not my machine to run. I'm staying in my lane. That one's above my pay grade. File that under not mine. Although that one's above my pay grade could be a really good response. Like if you're in public and somebody asks you like an inappropriate question about political beliefs, for example. That's an easy way to like get out of that situation. File that under not mine. Am I solving a problem or soothing my discomfort? Uncomfortable doesn't mean urgent. I can see it without carrying it. We will weave all of these into the manifesto in a way that makes them easy to reference when you need them most. Are you ready for step 4, your peace multipliers? Yes. Here's the truth about mindset work. Without daily reinforcement, even the best insights fade. Life gets busy, old patterns feel comfortable, and before you know it, you're back on the manufacturing floor with your hands on machines that aren't yours. To keep this alive, you need small daily inputs that remind you you are only responsible for yourself, not big, heavy practices, just little anchors woven into what you're already doing. I know you already have a solid routine going. You've got a daily 45-minute walk at 2 o'clock, right? I've got a walk scheduled for that energy. That's actually a perfect foundation to build on because you don't need to create new habits. We just need to layer 2 small things onto what already exists. So peace multiplier 1, the walk-in question at the start of your 2 p.m. walk. Before the podcast or the brainstorming kicks in, ask yourself one question. What am I carrying right now that isn't mine? Just notice whatever comes up. And for me, the backpack imagery feels like a good one to take on a walk or a hike, right? Am I carrying somebody else's backpack right now? How do I shake this off before I use this energy for my 2 p.m. walk? You don't have to solve it. You just name it, mentally set it down at the end of your driveway before you keep walking. You literally walk away from it. And that imagery feels helpful to me. Peace multiplier 2, the evening file close. Before bed, take 2 minutes, just 2, and mentally close the files on your day. Ask yourself, did I pick up anything today that wasn't mine? Can I set it down before I sleep? Think of it like closing browser tabs. You're not deleting anything. You're just not leaving it all open overnight. Do you feel like sustainable habits you can actually keep? And is there anything about the timing or format you'd adjust? When these feel right, we'll move into drafting your manifesto. I'm actually going to make a slight change to piece multiplier 2 based on something, an imagery that I learned in a different study. Actually, for piece multiplier 2, for the evening file closeout, let's imagine that before bed, I am putting all of the backpacks that aren't mine, all of the files, all the loose ends, all the dangling participles into a giant cedar chest. And I tuck them in there to go to bed, and then I close the lid on the cedar chest. So that is going to be my imagery. And you are welcome to use examples that work for you. Again, self-manage, because you guys know yourselves better than I do. So I love that so much more. Here's AI telling me how much it loves me, because it's an encourager. It's tactile, it's warm, and it fits you. A cedar chest is such a hill country image. It doesn't feel clinical or forced. It feels like something that actually belongs in your home. And there's something really beautiful about the gentleness of it. You're not throwing those things away. You're not angry at them for existing. You're just acknowledging them, tucking them in, and closing the lid. They can sit there overnight. They're not going anywhere, but they don't get to sleep in your bed. So let me update this. Piece multiplier 2, the cedar chest, before bed. Mentally gather everything you picked up during the day that wasn't yours, the stress, the problems, the things you wanted to fix, the backpacks, the loose files, all the dangling participles. Picture yourself placing each one gently into a big cedar chest. Tuck them in, close the lid. Those things have a place, and that place is not your pillow, right? Those things have a place and a time. I can choose whether I want to pick them up the next morning. That pairs beautifully with the walk-in question 2. Your walk at 2 p.m. is where you notice what you're carrying. The cedar chest at night is where you put it down. One is awareness, the other is release. Bookends. Do these two feel like something you can sustain long-term? When you're ready, we'll move on to the big one, drafting your 7 laws of release for the manifesto. And I'm going to say yes, we're ready for the manifesto. And I'm excited to see this. I'm excited to see how it is going to combine my customization with the concepts in the book. All right, the manifesto is your North Star, the document come back to on the hard days, the frustrating days, the days when your hands are itching to grab someone else's steering wheel. It's built on 5 to 7 laws of release, core principles that define how you move through the world from this point forward. Before I draft these, I need to ground them in what's been most meaningful to you across all 4 workshops. Not what sounds good on paper, but what actually shifted something inside you. So here's my question. What are the 3 let them realizations that have been the most life-changing for you across the entire journey? These sound like a moment where something finally clicked, a pattern you saw clearly for the first time, a belief you let go of that you'd been carrying for years, something that changed how you show up in a specific relationship. Take your time with this one. There's no wrong answer. Now, this one is going to be a little bit challenging for me, not because I don't necessarily know the answers to this question, but because typically in these workshops, I save the final output in a drive on my computer. And I think I saved some of them from this workshop series, but I don't have all of them. So if you have saved your outputs from the last couple workshops, this might be a perfect time to hit the attach button and upload that output that you created in each one of those workshops and say, here is my final deliverable for workshops 1 through 3. Use this information to, answer this question based on what you know about me. That could be a good way to make your response to this question a little bit easier. But what I'm going to try to do is say, do you recall each of the themes for each workshop? And this AI may not recall it because we worked in different LLMs. And so it would be interesting to see if this AI pulls from its body of knowledge in the internet to look up the main themes in the Let Them Theory book by Mel Robbins. So you have workshop 3 output, and we're doing workshop 4 now. Can you access the web and make some best guesses as to what the themes might have been in workshop 1 and 2 based on what you know about the Let Them Theory book by Mel Robbins? So now I'm going to ask the AI to do a little bit of work on the internet. Let's see if AI can help me reconstruct this. Okay, so workshop 1 was likely about awareness and recognition, the foundation. Yep. How you attempt to control others, why that's exhausting. This is where you would have built your first control map, identifying the people and situations where you pour energy into managing outcomes that aren't yours. The book emphasizes awareness and small shifts rather than dramatic transformations. Correct. Workshop 2 is about boundaries and self-worth. The importance, yep, the personal limits for emotional health. That was when we talked about controlling behavior was actually prioritizing somebody else's needs over our own. So that was where we talked about boundaries and self-worth. The psychological roots of overfunctioning, where people-pleasing comes from, how to set boundaries without guilt. The book clarifies that boundaries are about respecting your needs, not about shutting out the world. The deliverable is likely a boundary blueprint. Workshop 3 and 4. Okay, so the progression is see it in workshop 1, set limits in workshop 2, redirect your energy. Remember, I've got a 2 p.m. walk for that energy. Live it daily. Does that feel right? And now back to the big question for step 5. What are the 3 realizations across this whole journey that have been the most life-changing for you? Okay. The words and phrases to reframe these concepts have been super helpful for me, especially in developing awareness around moments in my life when these things come up for me. Sitting with discomfort, keeping my eyes on my own paper, not my backpack. Those types of reframes have been super helpful for me, as well as I have a 2 p.m. walk scheduled for that energy. Okay, so now it has recorded some of the responses. Again, spend as much or as little time answering these questions as you feel is helpful for you. If I wanted to, I could spend a considerable amount of time thinking about and responding to this question instead of a simple paragraph. However, for illustrative and time purposes, I am going to do the minimum viable response to get us to the next step. So that tells me everything I need to know. The biggest shift for you hasn't been theoretical, it's been linguistic. You needed the words to catch yourself in the moment. The concepts were already things you understood intellectually, but having a short, punchy phrase that fires in real time is what actually changes the behavior. That makes perfect sense with how your brain works. With ADHD, you need something that cuts through fast, not a paragraph of reasoning, but a 6-word phrase that stops the spiral before it starts. So your 3 core realizations are: language is the intervention. The right phrase at the right moment is more powerful than any amount of understanding. Not my backpack does more in 2 seconds than 10 minutes of self-talk. Discomfort is not a call to action. Your whole life, your work ethic trained you to read discomfort as do something. The refrain, am I solving a problem or soothing my discomfort? Broke that automatic loop. You already have a place to put that energy. I have a 2 p.m. walk scheduled for this energy. Isn't just a redirect. It's proof that you've built a life worth protecting. The energy has somewhere better to go. Now let me draft your 7 laws of release based on everything across all 4 workshops. Here they are. I release what I cannot control. Other people's choices, timelines, and reactions are theirs. I keep my eyes on my own paper. I do not carry backpacks that don't belong to me. If it's not mine, I don't pick it up. If I've already picked it up, I set it down. Discomfort is not an emergency. Uncomfortable doesn't mean urgent. I can feel the pull to act and choose stillness instead. I manage my exposure, not his behavior. I get to protect what's mine. I don't get to control how someone else runs their life. In this one, I think AI is probably speaking to the dynamic between my husband and I. I manage my exposure. I manage my risk. I manage my liability, not his behavior. I get to protect what's mine. I don't get to control how someone else runs their life. Watching is the work. Love doesn't require me to prevent, fix, or steer. Sometimes the most loving thing I can do is stay behind the glass. I have a walk schedule for this energy. My piece has a structure. When the urge to control rises, I already know where to take it. I close the cedar chest every night. What isn't mine doesn't get to sleep in my bed. I tuck it in, close the lid, and rest. Do these laws resonate with the person you want to become? If so, I'll finalize the full deliverable. And I'm going to go ahead and say yes. So here is our complete manifesto. Ooh, see, now Claude is turning this into a beautifully designed PDF. Let's see what that output looks like. You can see right now AI is thinking and it is annotating the logic and reasoning steps that it is making, so you can follow along and see what it's doing. Let's see what happened. Oh yeah, see, look at this. If we click on this, it expands it, and we can see we are reading the skill markdown file for creating polished documents. We're installing Report Lab for PDF creation. Now this is inside Claude on my desktop operating system, so this may not be an option that's available to you if you're working in a different LLM or it's not installed on your desktop. But we can see creating Katie's complete Let Them Daily Manifesto is a beautifully designed PDF. And here's all the code. You can see in this little window, it is writing all of this code. So we're going to have a beautifully designed PDF. I'm excited. Ooh, deep navy. I see that in there. Dark text, medium gray, Helvetica. Okay, here's our phrases. Okay. This is all the work that AI is doing on my behalf that I don't need to be an expert to do. I simply need to have the AI fluency to know how to ask AI to do the work and give it the proper context so it generates a deliverable that is high quality. Ooh, look at that, guys. Wow. Okay, the Let Them Daily Manifesto is ready. Here's what's inside: the 7 laws of release, the observer's anchor, the red flag protocol, the daily peace habit, phrases for the moments that matter, and your non-defensive response. So let's open this in preview. Look at what AI created for me. The Let Them Daily Manifesto. This is very nice, right? This could be printed. I'm bound. The 7 laws of release. I release what I cannot control. Here's what we looked at. Let them isn't about not caring. Okay, we got page 2 of 5. The observer's anchor. How to stay detached when chaos pulls you in. I can see it without carrying it. The red flag protocol. Uncomfortable doesn't mean urgent. The daily peace habit. The walk-in question, what am I carrying right now that isn't mine? On the 2 p.m. walk, the cedar chest before bed. Those things have a place. Phrases for moments that matter. When they push back, right? You stop playing your old role. The people who benefited from it will push back. You are the master of your own peace. You're no longer a manager of other people's lives. You have built the awareness to see your patterns. You have the boundaries to protect your peace. You have the language to hold your ground. You have the routine to sustain it all. When you forget, because you will, you have this manifesto to come back to. Watching is the work, not preventing. Your 2 p.m. walk is waiting. So there's my final deliverable, and this is really very beautiful in my opinion. So I can choose to download this, print this, save this, do whatever I want with it. But hopefully you guys have a nice deliverable similar to this that you can use to help put these concepts into practice. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to bring us back together so that we can take a few minutes to share our insights and feedback. And as you gather your thoughts about what you might want to share in community, I'm also going to let you guys know that if you want to take these AI fluency concepts deeper, I do have an AI workflow expert certification course. It is 9 learning modules. You do receive a certification. And I do have a one-on-one coaching bonus for the folks that have participated in this AI action class. Simply drop me an email and I can get you more information. But let's go to sharing. Okay, who would like to share?
I just went through the one from last week that you did, and I pushed back, like you said, when it talked about, reclaiming time in your day. And I was like, which seemed pretty core to how it was going to run that section, right? Talking about like, you have this 2 p.m. walk, and it's like mine is more like scattered minutes. Maybe I'm doing something else and my mind is somewhere else running through someone else's problem, or it's a minute here, a minute there. Like it's not tangible time. And so I was like, I wonder how it's going to solve that. And then it just talked about the activities, like being able to be more, so it's not actually getting time back in my day, like I could shift to something else, but more getting more presence in the activities that I'm doing. So like mentally reclaiming time and having better use of the actual time that I have. So I thought it was nice to see. I was like, I wonder how I was going to deal with that. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So it was nice. It really does have some actionable things and reframes where I might have otherwise gotten a little bit stuck. So it was good.
That's awesome. That's great. And that's a perfect example of what I was suggesting today is that, what you see on my screen is not going to be the same as what you see on your screen, because now with AI, we have the ability to customize and personalize education for every individual at scale, depending on how you work with AI. So that was a great example to see how it did that for you, Donna. That's awesome. Cool. Other insights or feedback? Mike, have you guys been reading the book along with doing this workshop?
Yeah, that we have. Holly and I have. Sarah's just started as well, or looking to start, and a couple others in our office has been doing it too. So it's been very
awesome.
timely.
Do you notice similarities between the concepts in the AI action classes with the concepts in the actual book readings?
I think yes. I think actually what you're doing is deeper and more personal. Like her message is amazing, and you can take it in so many directions, but your prompts here personalize it to yourself and give you actionable events. You can always read a book and get something from it, but this concept gives me so much more back to use. Things I truly can do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Holly's been dividing the workshops into personal and then business, and they're definitely different final deliverables, but like you said, actionable. Like we're going through some restructuring at our company and how that's going to look and work as we fall into old habits and in our new roles this summer, just to give ourselves grace to re-implement the manifesto.
Excellent. Great work, you guys. Donna, this is your first AI action class. What are your thoughts? How is this landing for you?
Really, really liked it a lot. It's like they said, I love that it gives you time to dig deeper into it in a way that maybe just doing everything live in the moment can't, but then you can come back and talk about ideas. And it really did pull a lot of things out for me that I maybe wouldn't have processed for myself, or would have had to take a lot more time, and just how it takes you down the paths. And I really liked it. And the workflow is really neat because it's just, since I didn't have to write the workflow, it was just as easy as copy, put it right in there. And then it just takes you through the whole thing. And even having not read the book, I got a lot out of it. And I liked being able to watch you go through it and see your responses and see some of the things that you did. And then seeing, like you said, how it adapted with my own examples in my own life and made it a lot more personalized. I thought it was really neat and a really like another next level thing to just doing maybe a book study kind of thing together. I could see even doing something like this where you work on it individually like this and then come back and talk about your findings as a group. I love it. It was really neat. So thank you
Awesome.
for putting this
Yeah,
together.
no, you're very welcome. And we have two Donnas that are in their first AI action class with us this month. So Donna Logan, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about how this is landing for you.
It's very interesting for me. I have no AI experience. When I say no, I mean zero. And so I really popped online out of curiosity as much as anything. I have a lady that I worked with previously for years who I really admire. She's a brilliant speaker. And she does an AI prompt once a week on LinkedIn and talks about how you can integrate it with sales, because she and I were both salespeople. And I hadn't done anything with her things. My personal struggle is, how do I balance AI acting like a person and integrating into humanity? So that's something that I'm still, just from a thought process, I'm still learning. Okay, how can I apply it? Make use of the value that it brings, but not lose the humanity side of the integration. Does that make sense?
Kind of. It's a little vague, but I feel like what you're hinting at, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I think that this is probably a common concern that a lot of people have, is about how do we effectively use AI as a tool and recognize that it's a tool and a non-sentient being, instead of allowing it to boil the frog, right? Where we wake up one day and we recognize that it's taken over our life, right? So is that kind of does that hint at the core of what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't want to be naive and not take advantage of what it can bring to the table.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
I mean, even like you and I were talking a little bit about, okay, we have the camp. It would be great if I can go in there and play with it and see, can I build an app, you know, that we can download, and then kids who have come to camp can stay in touch, and because they're going to be on it,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
So I don't want to be ignorant, but I want to understand the boundaries. So yeah, what you said was very, very a true reflection.
Yep. And that's one of the other things that I try to bring to these AI action classes, because I think that there's a lot of people like yourself that are curious about what's possible, and they just kind of want to dip their toe in and learn a little bit more before they make any decisions. And so that's one of the things that we will continue to experiment with in these AI action classes is where's that line? Where's that balance? We may even talk about doing an AI action class to create a personal AI policy. That's a workshop that I've done for other people before. And we take a workflow very similar to what we've done in this workshop series, and we create a personal AI policy where we have opportunities to say, what are my red lines as a leader who's using AI? You know, it's different from a company AI policy because we have an opportunity to say, okay, you know, when I'm using AI, I'm choosing intentionally not to do these things for specific reasons, right? So we'll continue to experiment with that in these AI action classes. And Donna W, I'm not sure I can pronounce your last name correctly yet, Donna, has
Okay, not
given
many
us,
can. I don't try. That's why I just say Donna to be
yeah,
kind.
like Donna W. She is in a group doing a book called or in a community doing tiny experiments. I forget the name of the author, but she's requested that we do that as the AI action class for the month of February. And she has invited some folks from that online community to join us in the AI action class. And Donna, I'm thrilled to report that yesterday I had like 10 people sign up. So
Oh, seriously? That's exciting.
yeah, so it looks like the February AI action class for Tiny Experiments is going to be a full roster, and we invite y'all to join us. But with that, I see we are 3 minutes past at the bottom of the hour. I'm happy to hang on and for another 5 minutes if there are folks who want to hang out and ask questions or want more information. Otherwise, that brings us to at the end of workshop 4 for the 4-part Let Them series AI action class. Thank you, everybody.
Katie, I have a quick question. I know all the workflows are in that one folder. Is it possible to put the videos in there too, so everything related to a class is in one place? Or is that too much?
Yeah, I've been putting them on YouTube for right now. So I think, yeah, I'm putting them in playlists in YouTube.
Okay.
So
Is it
what you
possible
might,
maybe to just like do a Google Doc or something in there that just has the links to all of the videos? So
yeah,
every one centralized place?
yep, I'd be happy to do that. I'll
Okay,
create that later so that the Google document links to each one of the workshop videos.
great. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. This has been wonderful.
No, thank you for being here. It's been fun.
And I do want to say, as a follow up to my input, your delivery on the class was exceptional. Your flow was really, really good.
Thank you.
Having the prompts, because that really is extremely helpful, especially for someone like me who I see all over the place. Don't use AI like Google. Well, I absolutely use AI like Google. So
Yep.
learning how, just watching how you manage the workflow was extremely helpful. So whether, you know, that's something that I want to do for myself within that book, regardless, learning how to pull, you know, so a book I would probably really like to do it with is 5 Things Successful People Do Before 8 a.m. That's a book that I read. It's really, really good. And if I could build like that manifesto based on that book using these prompts, that I would really enjoy. So what I learned today was substantial, and your delivery was just really, really good.
Thank you. Well, yes, as a parting gift, Donna, I will create for you an AI workflow for the 5 things successful people do before 8 a.m. And I will email it to you, and all you need to do is run it just like we did today.
Okay, now I did look up because you said LLM, and I'm like, I don't know what LLM is, so I looked that up while you were talking. So basically, Claude is the same as ChatGPT, as Copilot. It's just your platform of choice that you were using to generate.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. An LLM is like what a pickup truck is to Chevy, GMC, Ford, Dodge.
Got it. Perfect. Awesome.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you, everybody. Hope you're able to join us for the next series. If not, reach out to me with questions and have a great one. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.